Well, President Bola Tinubu has officially informed the Federal Executive Council of his decision to establish a new Ministry of Livestock Development. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi announced this after the council meeting. He addressed concerns about potential counterproductivity over the government's cost-cutting measures.
President formally informed council that a ministry known as Ministry of Livestock Development is being established. And this is because he believes that the Ministry of Agriculture should be, broken into two. One concentrating on livestock development because of what we stand to achieve in terms of protein, in terms of employment, in terms of earning to the government, and how this one will rub off on the lives of an ordinary Nigerian citizen. In respect of this livestock, the president has taken very serious look at the contribution of agric. We have agric now divided into two. Having announced that there is going to be another ministry, it goes without saying that those implications will also go with it. I agree that that may cost money, but it will be done in a way that the benefits will by far outweigh the losses or the concern that we may express.
Well, sometimes it boils down to words and meaning. But again, let's bring in Dr. Akpa Onallo, who is the Director General, Poultry Association of Nigeria. Good to see you and thanks for your time.
It's a pleasure.
Well, the good thing is that poultry is part of livestock because everyone is trying to go back to words and meaning and see what this means. But this move by the president is aimed to stem the tide of clashes amongst herders and farmers. Speak to us first, your reaction to setting up of a ministry of livestock.
Well, thank you. I think to me, as a practitioner who has been in the industry for over 3 decades, the establishment of the Ministry of Livestock Development is a welcomed one. It's a welcomed one because over the years we've been having the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, and in the last 12, 13 months, it metamorphosed into the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Are we actually food secured? Now, this is the challenge. Agriculture has been facing a lot of challenges. Dump stand, fire, here, there, a lot of rhetorics, a lot of other things, but we are still hungry. We are still food dependent. So to me, the establishment of the Ministry of Livestock Development is a welcomed one in the sense that it is going to separate livestock completely from crop. And then if that is done, it means we need to re-energize ourselves to holistically come up to develop the livestock sector in such a way that the significant importance of providing animal-based protein to Nigeria and then creating livelihood will be magnified. I'll give you an example of this. In the last 20 years, the livestock sector, especially the poultry that I belong and where I've spent nearly all parts of my life, contributes to over 25% of the livestock gross domestic product of the Nigerian economy. The poultry industry alone employs around 25 million Nigerians, direct and indirectly. So a big chunk of Nigerians depend and earn their livelihood from the poultry sector. And without the poultry sector, even the crop sector we are saying, it will never perform very well. So the chain is complex. Today, the poultry industry alone takes over 4 to 5 million metric tons of the 12.5 or thereabout metric tons that is being produced annually. So to us, it is a welcome development because poultry, which I belong and which is my life, is the low-hanging fruit where any person can invest today. In 32, 35 days, you can harvest your broilers, process and earn money. So the same thing. And for a population of 200 million and above Nigerians, if we are able to say, look, with renewed energy, with commitment to actually sit that we will develop, then we will now be able to participate in the global context of food. And because today, the president has given a waiver to bring in maize for 150 days. 225 or 250,000 metric tons of maize for a population of how many people? Over 200 people. And I'll tell you this, of all the states in northern Nigeria, of the 19 states in northern Nigeria, over 75% of them depend on cereals. And what are these cereals? It's grains. So if the ministry is divided into two, there is a livestock ministry, and then there is the other ministry that takes care of crops, export crops and other things. Then there will be a renewed focus. We will be able to say, look, the farmer headers clash will be controlled. Because in the first instance, when I was growing up as a child, the Fulani people were in my village. And then there was a link between the herdsmen and then the crop farmers. And what was this link? The link was the extension people. The extension people are no longer there. If the extension people were there, the extension people would be the first person that the Fulani people will contact when they have a problem, and then the crop people will also contact them. But these people are not there.
Now, let's take it further. Beyond, on paper, this new ministry is expected to resolve these farmer header clashes.
Yeah.
In reality, in real terms, what are the measures that must be taken by whoever heads this ministry if this ministry is to succeed?
Thank you, man. You see, whoever is going to head this ministry must go beyond rhetorics. The person that is going to head this ministry must go beyond sitting on his table to formulate policies. He must engage the stakeholders. I've lived in the private sector for over 30 years, and it is my life. Even if I were born 30 years ago, and I started kindergarten, by today, I should be an expert. But consistently being in the industry for 30 years and over 30 years, I'm an authority. So for me, the missing link is that you can't sit within the confine of your office and do policies that affects over 200 million persons without engaging the actual field practitioners. That is the missing link. And except we address this, we will still be stereotyping and not succeeding, and we'll continue in what we have been doing over these years.
My point is, what are the specific policy areas that need to be addressed?
The specific policy areas that need to be addressed is draw up a roadmap. This roadmap with targets for every sector of the livestock industry. For example, this is cattle. Other than the roaming cattle, I've never seen a breeding centers whereby we are now saying we are multiplying cow. I have never seen a sheep and goat breeding and multiplication center in this country. So the policy should be in such a way that there is a focus. This focus is to give targets, fund them properly. Whoever is not performing, hold him responsible. Like my industry, the poultry industry. Today, an average Nigerian is consuming less than 5 kilograms of chicken per person per annum, while in other climes they are consuming 43. 25 to 43 kilograms per person.
Sorry to cut you here. Let me comment here, because first it will seem, as if this is a failure of the Agri Ministry. If you're now taking livestock and you say, okay, this one would take care of just crops, and this is for livestock, it shows some kind of failure. Specifically, what Ngozi is asking is, what are those fine details that you think the Agri Ministry or even the security hasn't actually been able to handle properly, that now we're talking about a livestock ministry that will be bettered, gifted to us, that will ultimately solve it? Because we're talking about, you started by reminding us about food security. First, this is about security. And secondly, this is about how to actually ensure that what can be activated through that ministry gives us some sense of peace, stability, and food security. So what are those things? It goes beyond having a ministry. Otherwise, it looks like a duplication.
Thank you, my brother. I have always canvassed for this. Today, if I'm to advise government what we are to do differently, do a livestock mapping for this country. Do a livestock mapping. Just like even when it was general agriculture, Federal Minister of Agriculture and Food Security. What we lacked is we never do crop comparative advantage mapping for this country. If we had done that, then what could happen is that the grain producing area, you understand, the other crop producing area, the cocoa producing area, do a mapping. If you do a mapping, instead of a generalized budget, I'm doing budget. This budget is for maize production. This budget is for sorghum production. This budget is for millet production. Now, do a mapping of this country. We have countries that have comparative advantage in producing these crops. In the same vein, let us do a livestock mapping for this country.
Will this include ranching?
Yeah. You see, the issue of ranching, to me, with the creation of the Ministry of Livestock, a lot of problems is going to be solved. People say do ranching. The nomadic Fulanis, do you understand what is called ranching? They don't understand what is called ranching. These people traditionally are nomads. They continue moving their cattle from one place to the other. So for somebody to understand a concept, he must see. Just like they say, seeing is believing. So it goes beyond government officials. It goes beyond people who have opportunities like some of us, traveling all about the world, seeing so many things. I'm coming, man. Take the herdsmen themselves to some of these places where there are well-established ranches. Let them see and understand the concept. And then if you say you want to do ranching, you don't just wake up and say you are going to do ranching. Ranching depends on, the cattle takes grasses. So it has to take you some 3-4 years to prepare where are you going to establish this range system.
So in reaction to the
plant the seeds, nurture it, and then you can now take these people on tours to understand this concept, what it means to do this, and then they will gradually buy into it, and then we'll get this problem solved.
The Northern Elders Forum is demanding grazing reserves as Tinubu plans this new ministry. Your thoughts on that?
Grazing reserve is a novel concept. It's a modern concept of keeping poultry. Today, Brazil is one of the countries that produce a lot of milk, both dairy and meat cattle. You don't see cattle roaming about. They all live in confined areas with their paddocks, with their ranches and paddocks developed. So in the same vein, I'm going back to what I said. This thing has to take a systematic approach. The systematic approach is this. Identify where you are going to do this ranching. You understand? Within 1 or 2 years, do your studies, plant the seed, grow this thing up, and then within this period of doing this thing, you can take these people to go and see what it means, how it even saves their life, how it even causes their animals to attain the normal weight, that they will get good money from it. But if you continue talking out of sentiment and out of trying to make points, which might be political, which might be social, which might not hold any water, then we are not going to achieve anything.
Can you tell us whether the government actually consulted people like yourself in coming up with this livestock ministry?
Well, it has been there. I'll tell you this. Just 3 weeks back, we celebrated 10 years anniversary of creating a Department of Animal Husbandry in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. And I continue quarreling with my people. What have we achieved? So there has been this canvassing for the Ministry of Livestock Development. Now, which goes beyond the expectations of the civil servants. And that is why I say there should be a general stakeholders engagement.
Well, let's see how it pans out, because we're really out of time. And I do hope that this doesn't actually replicate a problem instead of giving us a solution.
We will be, if they put the right people together.
I'd like to thank you for your time, and we do hope that
thinking, and then we'll come up here.